Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti alla Galleria d'Arte Ghetto Eccetera di Venezia. Oggi per la promozione della mostra collettiva Acqua abbiamo in video intervista a distanza l'artista Manuela Ulrich. Buongiorno, hello Manuela.
Hello, buongiorno a tutti.
Hello, buongiorno. Ok,
Ah,
le domande che vorremmo farle sono, la prima la farò in inglese, poi metteremo i sottotitoli. La prima è, how and when did you approach art at first?
I started actually with my childhood. I come from an artist's family, and so my daddy gave me a simple small camera, and then he watched what I was doing with it. And then later on, he switched and allowed me to use his twin objective, his twin-eye trolley. And we were doing our own development in our own little darkroom, not in a darkroom situation as we used to work today, no, but in our own lab. And so I started with that, and then at the age of 18, I started my own photo studio, and I did a lot of commercial work at the time. But then after about 10 years, I was sick and tired of it. And I said, okay, away with all the commercial work, go back to the things that really make fun. And so since then, I work when I do photography as an artist. So, well, that's what I'm doing. And yeah, that's what's driving me.
Okay, and about inspiration, what inspires you the most in everyday life to catch the images? And then we would like to know if there is any artist that inspires you the most.
The inspiration on a daily basis, honestly, it comes from just watching things around me. The fascination that especially with photography, that with a shutter, you can freeze a situation in the blink of an eye and store it and document it forever. That's one thing. But also the inspiration of the nature is when I approach a subject or a task, then I start watching the things, and if it's just as a simple thing when I take pictures as a wedding for friends, which I only do for friends. So I first watch the situation, and then I take the camera, and then I'm one with the camera, and I see through the camera and observe the things. And this is, for me, be allowed to look at things in detail, and in the same time the storytelling behind it, because my belief is that one picture says more than 1,000 words. And so I do also like the storytelling of whatever it is. Each thing, each item, each rock has its story, and to frame it with a picture, that's really one of the things that do drive me. Yes. And that's also why I developed, as a sidekick to my photography, the sculptural work, which I have already been allowed to show in your gallery.
Yes. And what about famous artists that inspired you, maybe, or that you admire simply?
Definitely. One is Ansel Adams, the very famous American landscape photographer, and he also was a nature preserve activist. His work, the way how he looks at nature, is not just, okay, there is a mountain in the middle of wood. No, he allows the structure of the mountain, the structure of a tree, whatever nature picture he took, and he was not just walking by and click and put the attention somewhere else. No, he was really constructing his point of view, the framing and everything. This is a very inspirational thing for me to look at his work. And another photographer which I admire is because has a very good connection between commercial photography, art, and storytelling, it's Peter Lindbergh, who passed away last year, no, 2 years ago, and Giuseppe Giacometti, because he has a very own way of looking at things and putting them into a new system of nature, so to speak. Yes, those are those. And Thomas Moore. But
I
those
see.
are that really drive me.
I see. And also I can see a connection between what you're saying and your photograph, the exhibited photograph that you sent us. So very interesting. The last question, very quickly, is tell us something about your technique. You're not a painter in this case, so I understand it's a bit difficult because you're using a machine, but if you can tell us anything to let us enter the photograph a bit more, it would be useful.
Yes, yes, of course. This is the situation that I'm showing in the show is an analog photograph, and I used a monochrome, pure black and white film, and I made sure that it's even though you can't see it, it's not a short exposure and it's not a long exposure, it's something in between. And I took several pictures, and after I chose which one I took, because sometimes I'm doing it that from one point of view I'm taking with a different exposure, different photographs, and then I put them on each other. I didn't do that in this time. In this work, there are really no filters and there's no Photoshop in it. The only filter I've been using, because I always use it when I'm outside, is a universal UV filter, which is helping me when I have reflections so on to filter those out. This is, so to speak, the only polarizing filter I've been using. All the other things that is not. And I developed this picture myself in my own lab. And for the show, I decided I have it printed on acrylic. I let it print because my computer doesn't put this out. My printer, it's too small for that. But first I thought maybe I will do it on silver plate. So it's a more metallic look, but that was for me too much against the structure of nature. So I decided to have the acrylic fine art print. And this is this.
Okay, Manuela. Yes, very interesting. And I'm sure that after these answers, we will look at your photograph with different eye. So thank you so much. Ricordo a tutti che la mostra è visitabile in presenza in Galleria a Venezia dal 13 febbraio al 4 marzo 2022 e per sempre sul nostro sito. Thank you very much, Manuela, and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.